Bruce, now it's time to work on something a little bit different. We're going to start doing some metal work on the side of this thing. I've got everything pretty much locked down on the Explorer where it needs to go. I did your inner fender structure in here the best I could. There's a little bit of finish up work once I get this off. But being it's on there, I'm going to go ahead and take advantage of it being on there and go ahead and kind of button up this wood and my metal work. I had to stop on the inner fenders because this lower fender is so jacked up that I don't know where this goes yet until I get this side on. So I'm about right here on these inner fenders, and then once I get this piece rebuilt, I can finish those up and then pull all that part apart. Now it's time to start doing some woodwork, and this is where it gets a little bit tedious. Now all that work I've done in making sure I've got this body on here level, straight, and accurate, and all that time I've done on getting this door level, straight, and accurate, it's really going to come into play now, because as I install this wood's a little oversized, and then you cut it down to fit. Not much, but just a little bit. And you've got to be able to locate this piece, start right here, install it, then install the window, then install the door. But they're all kind of tied together, so I'm fitting all of them and seeing where they're at, and then working them all back together. Now this piece right here I know is a little high in the front. It's showing up when I put this piece on. I got a big gap here, small gap down here. I've got to have a consistent gap because I can't take it off of this, or it's going to make this piece look out of whack. It's got to be consistent. So to make dang sure I know which one to move and how to move it, I've reset this whole vehicle to level. It's setting on the weight at the axles like it would be sitting on the ground, so that I've got it set nice so the body don't move. This is perfectly level on both sides. It's perfectly level side to side. This belt line here needs to be perfectly level with that window. If it's going up or down, it's going to look funny. Well, as it stands right now, it is not level. It needs to come down. So I found that it was off there. I checked it with this piece, put it up. It shows that it needs to come down. So I'm going to have to work this wood in and get it exactly where it needs to go. Then when I start putting in your lower metal panels that I've got here from Tom at Custom Classic and Rods, which he did an outstandingly beautiful job. Every piece he has made, he's handmade all these pieces for this, and they are just absolutely beautiful. So a big shout out to Tom there for that outstanding work. So now I'm going to have to take and whittle this down the front to get this plane level with this plane, and then we'll do the door. But let me show you what I got to do to the front of this. Now this is going to be a little bit tricky because I want this to fit nice and tight against the car here, the wood to the metal. So it needs to come down just about 3/16 of an inch or a little less. So I'm going to have to come in here and take that off in a way that it still fits a nice transition right there between the wood and the metal. So that's going to take a little bit of time, and I'm going to lower that down, get that perfectly level. Then I can come up here and start with your door. But I'm going to go ahead and get your latches installed and latching so that this door stays where it needs to be, so I can hold this wood up here. So I'm going to go find your latches and then soak them in my tank and then install them in place. So let me get the latches done, and then we'll move on with this thing. I wanted to show you this, Bruce. This is a neat little setup. I got this, one of my customers was a dentist, and they they gave me this little sonic box here, and it just vibrates. And I got with Eastwood. Eastwood sells this fast etch, and I bought a few gallons of this from them. I just want to show you how good this works, and give a shout out to Eastwood for such an outstanding product, that fast etch. So I put 3 or 4 gallons of that in this tank, and then I run it for 45 minutes with your latches in there. Now your latches all looked about like this, if not worse. And I'll be putting this one there pretty soon. I used to have to blast these and clean the sand out or try to scrub it. Just hard to get the latches cleaned up properly. But 45 minutes in this tank with that Eastwood fast etch, and look how these things look. That is unbelievable how nice it takes all that rust off of there. And now I've done treated it and lubed it up, and I mean that is just outstanding. So let me get these installed in the door, and then we'll get back on this, putting this wood on. Latch in and got it where the door would strike, and a couple of strikes into it, this thing, I guess it had a little rust in behind there or something. But you can see how floppy that gear is. Horrible. But the rest of the latch and all the spring mechanism and all the other part of it looks pretty nice. So instead of trying to find one of these and order it and stuff, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to disassemble this piece and see if I can rebushing that. Even the cogs on the teeth look very, very nice. So basically it's just that looseness right there. So let me take this apart, see if I can't make this work better. Alright, I got that cut loose, got that piece off, and that's in really good shape. Those are really sharp, and that's how you want it. That's going to work out good. But where the bushing is right there, you can see how floppy that is. So I'm going to see if I can't find a new bushing or make a new bushing and put back in there. Then put all this back together, shim it up, and then weld it solid. And then this piece will be in pretty good shape. Springs are a little rusty, and if one of them happens to break sometime, we'll just try to find a new spring for them. But so far, so good. I'm on to something. So this was the bushing that you had in here that gear rode on. And I found, I think this was an old bushing, or it's a new bushing for a starter. And it's the exact size I need. Where this one sits in there loosely and sits on this shaft loosely. This one, I'm going to have to press in there, and that's going to be a nice tight fit. Then I'll just cut that off and then grind that back down to surface, and then save this piece for the other side if it's bad, which it may not be, because the passenger side don't get used near as much as the driver's side door. The driver's side door always more worn. But so yeah, cut this off, press this in there, put that back in place, clamp all that down nice and tight, weld that back on there, and this thing will be good as new. There it is, new bushing installed. Look how good that works now. That is sweet. So let's put this baby back in there. Now I got the latches all done and they're in place, and the door is latching and closing. I got the strike out right at the moment. But I've been working on your wood some more. So I've worked on this, and I've had to I put a little piece of 80 grit and clean this off and put it all the way down the face of that. And then I took this wood and just gently moved it back and forth. And it got coats a scratch onto the face of this, and it shows me where to cut that. So I've done that, and it's been off and on, off and on, off and on. And I've moved this down just about where it needs to be, and this is nice and level, and it fits the face of that. It looks nice when that door's open, so it's a really good spot. Still got a little bit more to do around the back side, but before I move it anymore, I want to go ahead and fit the door. So I've got the latches in place. Set this down, and I had you order the door seal. So I went ahead and put the door seal in the other side, and I've just taped it up there. I'll try to save this door seal, but I'm going to need it throughout this build for quite a while, and hopefully I won't damage it. But I put it in the other side to see how that door acts with the door seal in it. And then I'll come over here on this side and see how this door lays, opens, and closes. Now when I was building your door, I didn't completely finish it up. I got this piece tacked in. I've got some more welding to do on this, and I never did hook the top of these. They're both sides broken. Top just flops. And then I can get this door where the seal and the door frame fit that pocket in the best location. So so I'll get all this metal work done, get this thing latching, striking, closing far enough to where that seal fits real nice all the way around, and then that's going to determine my depth of my door wood in relationship to the depth of this, and then I'll plane them both down together. So let me get all this door fixed in place, and then we'll get back to fitting some wood. Well, Bruce, I've got this wood fitting really, really well now. When I first started this gap down here was so tight that they were actually touching, the door wasn't even closed. And I was told that I was just going to have to cut that and make my own gap. And I just didn't like that, so I kept working and manipulating this piece of wood, and now I've got almost a perfect gap right there. So now that I've got this wood set like it is, it's kind of showed me how my metal needs to do down through here, my rocker panel, how that's going to work. Because keep in mind, all that's completely gone. They don't make a rocker panel for this thing, and I'm going to have to hand make this rocker panel of the pieces that we've bought. Then the door, I left it where it would still need some more welding, so now I know how it's got to lay for this wood to be able to lay like it is. So, I mean, if I had a woodie that was completely together, this would be a lot easier, but not knowing any of these numbers and all this just flopping around, it makes it a little more difficult. So now I'm going to yank this wood off of here, and I'm going to start doing some metal work, and then we'll get back to fitting this wood. So this is a big page turn in this chapter, and I'm glad to get the wood up there, and it's fitting so nicely. So let's get to doing some metal work now. I got your wood pre-fit, And I wanted all this wood pre-fit before I started this metal work because all the bottom of this is destroyed, smashed in, bent, rusted, gone. It's hit all the way around. So I really have no good reference to that. When I got my wood in place, I could see it did follow the line that was what I had left somewhat. So now, now I'm gonna come back and do your metal work and do the woodwork and kind of tie it all together. So this is the piece I got from CCR, and it's an outstanding, beautiful piece here. But it's not exactly what I fit to the wood in this car, because they make it at their shop on a buck or however they do it. And then I get it, and I need to fit it a little better from there. And I don't need to use the whole piece. I'm only going to put in what I need. So I'm starting right here because I want to work towards my door here and work in the bottom of this rocker panel, because I'm going to have to hand make your rocker panel. They don't make one for this truck. And then that's going to dictate how the wood on the door sets. So every bit of this is just so tied together. So I came in here and I've cut this lip off because I wanted to change the angle of this just a little bit. So where it comes off of what you had here, this one was a little bit out right here and a little bit out right here. So I put it in my stretcher and I stretched that and I stretched this. And I'm going to come back here in the back and stretch this just a little bit and make it follow this right here real nice. And then I'll put in another piece, another piece, another piece. So every piece is going to be a custom fit, and use my shrinker stretcher and make it fit back this wood pretty nice. I just got to keep in mind I need a nice flow of the metal, and then I need a nice flow of the wood. And between the two, this ought to come out pretty good. So I'm just going to keep plugging away at this thing and get this metal put in. No, I've told you how complex this is, but I want to show you another thing that factors into putting the wood on that was made at another place that is oversized, that don't fit, and not having any of the bottom of the truck in because it was either wrecked or smashed or damaged, so that's all gone. Not having another woodie to get any measurements or references off of. As I'm installing this metal here, when these posts went down, it shoved these sides out. So this lower side in the front and the rear, I'm having to tune with this this strap here. I've got it pulled in about that far. Now I've got it perfectly in line with the frame now, and that's where it was on the woodie. It's extremely complex because I move it in a little bit here. It changes it out here quite a bit, and it doesn't change in a square fashion. This thing is round. So when you pull it in here, it pulls it in the middle and not so much at the top and the bottom. So it's very difficult, but I think I have the perfect location for it now. So I just want to show you what all is involved along with the wood, the metal, and then the side of this vehicle. But I'm about to get this piece in. I've done a little bit of stretching on this side of it, a little bit of shrinking on this side of it, and I've got it fitting that wood pretty nice. I've got it fitting metal pretty nice, and I'm blending the two together to make the side of this thing fit and look proper. I'll show you the piece I made. I took me a piece of cardboard and made me a template of our first floor piece that's going in here. And this is what I got. And it's going to fit in here just like this. I made this out of 16 gauge, so it's going to be nice and strong for our floor. And this will be our first start of installing our floor all the way around. So once I get this in place and I lock this down completely, because I know where it needs to go now that I've got my wood set, then I'll finish putting the metal in where it needs to go. That way if I get any kind of movement in here, I can adjust it out here. So that's a big step forward. But while I was doing this, I went ahead and set the wood on the other side and set the post where I need to be, pulled it in just a little bit, and took this piece and flipped it over. It fit in there just like a glove. I'll be able to make a template of this and put it right in place. So it's going to be so handy that I made all these numbers so exact, because when I make one piece here, I'll go ahead and make a duplicate for the other side and just work my way all the way through and get this floor in, and that's going to be a big step for this project. So I'm excited about getting this in. So let's get this in here and start buttoning up this inside.